So assuming you have a new file, say we're going to start with integers. So let's say the age, and let's say a person's age is 4. So now once you do the, again, I remember that I said that you have to be saving your work. When you see the dots, you make any changes. So I save it. And if I run this, if you look here, down there, it's not doing anything. You may think it's not doing anything. Basically, what we've done in this line is this. We've taken a space in memory, and then in that space in memory, all you've done is you have just created an allocation of that space. 1 second. Oh. What we've done on the right hand side, which is age equal 4, is just saying that we've created a space in memory, and then we've assigned, we've called it age, and then we assigned 4. So basically in your if you run it, that's exactly what it's doing. It's not going to show anything because we're not trying to show anything. This instruction is just telling the system that I just want to make sure that I have a space in memory, and then I'll call it age and put the value there. So the next line is where we're going to do, maybe we want to see what's in there. So the print statement, what do we want to print? We want to print age. So if you want to print age, you just run this and it's going to print age, which is going to be 4. So it's printing 4. Basically, on the second line, what we've done is that we said, can you give us A? So it will go into the variable and look for age, sorry, not A. Go into the variable looking for age, and age is 4. So it will return 4. And that's what's happening down here. The same thing apply. If you want to know what the data type is, we can do something like this. We print the data type. So we'll say type. And then what type are we looking for? The type for, what's the data type for age? So we just say type, we'll put that in the brackets, and then we'll put all of them. So basically we're saying that, can you show us the type by printing it out? And so that line, the next line is going to print the type. What type is this data? What data type is age? Anyone? From the value we have, what's the data type?
Age.
Age, what's the data type for age?
Integer, sorry, integer.
So if we run this, it's saying it's of type integer. And so basically this clearly shows that the good thing about Python is that it's able to tell, you don't need to tell it the data type. Once it sees the value, it will take the data type from the value. So it's very strong with the values once it sees it. Let's see another one. So let's use maybe height, and we'll say 4.2. We all know what 4.2 will be when it comes to data type. So we'll say print, and we'll say type, we'll put that in a bracket. 4.2, which is height. Even if you put in, that's one beautiful thing about VS Code. If you just put the mouse on it, you could see that it's saying it's a float. If you put the mouse there, can you see that it's saying it's a float? It's the variable height is a float. Yeah. And that's the beauty of say Visual Studio Code. And that's why I recommend that people use Visual Studio Code, because it doesn't just teach you how to do write code, but it gives you certain things that you already know. So yes, it's saying floats down there. And that's for integers. Sorry, for integers and floats. The next one we're going to see is the string. So let's say name. Sorry, I'm going to use Kuma. So I'll just say Kuma. And so Kuma is a name. If you put the mouse on there, it's saying it's a literal. So what a literal means is that it's a string literal. That's what it means. It's a string. And so if I do print and I do type, so again, as I mentioned earlier with Visual Studio, you don't even complete it and it start giving you options. So I'll just select type and then I'll put name there. And again, it's also guiding me what I want to write. I say name. And then when I save it, and when I run it, it's saying it's str. Str means string. So basically, we've seen the data types. We've seen integer. We've seen integer.
Quick question. You put it name equal to.
If you could observe in here, the name of the variable, we just say name without speech marks. In Python, the very moment you say just like something like name without putting speech marks, you are or especially on the left-hand side, you are telling the system that this is a variable because it's not a value. And so if it is a value, if this was not the name of a variable, but it's just a normal variable, a normal value like Kuma on the right-hand side, then you have, if it's Kuma, which is a value, then you have to put in speech marks. But if it is, basically what I mean is that if it's going inside the container, then it has to have speech marks as a string. But if it is not going inside the container and it's going to be a label, or it is a label, then we don't need to put the speech mark. So if we remove this, what will happen is that if we try to run this, there'll be an error. So name Kuma is not defined. Kuma is not defined. This is what it means. It means that there's no container called Kuma. Because what we're saying is that in Python, anytime you don't put the speech marks in between a string, you're trying to tell us that it is a variable. And so Python will be looking for a variable called Kuma, but it's not defined anywhere. And this is why it's giving us an error. But once you put the speech marks there, we're trying to say that that is the value. And so when we do that, everything runs perfectly. Let's assume we have another variable called other name. Other name. And this time around, other name, we're just going to put name in there. So you could see here, this is what we've done. Visually, this is what we've done here. So what we've done on the first line is this. The first line is saying this. Create a container. Line 1 is saying create a container, call its name. And then you put Kuma in there as a string. So basically we have Kuma in there. So now after that, this is what's going to happen with the container. The label is still name. And inside it, we have Kuma inside the container. The second line is saying this, create another container. Called other name. Now, and then we're supposed to be putting something in there. Say, put whatever you have in name inside there. So what we're telling the system is that go to name, which is this place, get whatever is written in there, make a copy and put it there. So whatever is written in there is Kuma. So basically we're transferring or we're creating a copy of Kuma because that's what's inside name. And then we're dumping it inside other name. So this will also have Kuma. And if I decide to go back and just print other name, it will say the other name is going to be Kuma as well. So if you see here, we only printing other name and it's printing, so it's going in the checks was other name. Other name means name, and name is here, and name has Kuma, and so we're printing name as Kuma.